College football has always lived in a space that transcends logic, revenue models, television windows, and playoff calculus. It survives and thrives because of emotion, memory, and inheritance, because of the games that feel larger than standings and seasons, because of rivalries that bind generations together in ways professional sports simply cannot replicate. That is what separates the college game from the NFL, and it is why the absence of Notre Dame versus USC on the upcoming schedule feels less like a scheduling dispute and more like a small fracture in the sport's soul. There is nothing in professional football that compares to Michigan versus Ohio State or Alabama versus Auburn, and Notre Dame versus USC belongs firmly in that same sacred tier. It is not just a matchup, it is a story passed down through families, a date circled years in advance, a game that defines careers and cements legacies. The fact that it will not be played this season is jarring precisely because of how permanent it is always felt. For nearly a century, this game existed as a constant. It survived the Great Depression, global war, social upheaval, conference realignment, television revolutions, and the birth of the modern postseason. Only World War II and a global pandemic had previously managed to silence it. That alone should tell you everything about its importance. The official reasons for the pause are rooted in modern college football realities. USC, now navigating life in the Big Ten, determined that adding Notre Dame on top of an already brutal conference slate was not in the program's best interest when it comes to reaching the college football playoff. Notre Dame, fiercely protective of its independence and competitive integrity, balked at proposals that included playing the game in Week 0 or potentially shifting the broadcast to a streaming platform like Netflix. In the background, comments from Marcus Freeman and Lincoln Riley landed with subtle sharpness, indirect but unmistakable, each side suggesting the other was unwilling to compromise. It is all very modern, very transactional, very reflective of where the sport finds itself right now. But none of that changes the core truth: this rivalry should be played. Since its inception in 1926, Notre Dame versus USC has been one of the defining pillars of college football. 4 generations of fans have grown up measuring seasons by this game. Grandparents tell stories about Johnny Lujack and Frank Leahy. Parents remember Anthony Davis running through the Coliseum and Rocket Ishmael streaking down the sideline. Children learn early that beating USC or Notre Dame means something different, something heavier. Former players from both programs consistently speak about this game as the one that still lives with them long after their playing days are over. It is the game that shaped how they are remembered. Reggie Bush's brilliance is inseparable from his performances against Notre Dame. Joe Montana's legend is incomplete without his moments against USC. This rivalry did not just reflect greatness, it helped create it. These two programs rose together, pushing one another toward national prominence through repeated clashes that demanded excellence. They are forever intertwined, not only historically but culturally. The Trojans and the Irish sit first and second on the all-time list of colleges producing NFL draft picks, a staggering testament to their sustained impact on the sport. Their shared dominance is not coincidence, it is the product of decades spent sharpening each other. And yet, despite those similarities, Notre Dame and USC could not be more different beyond the field. USC is a West Coast institution planted in the heart of Los Angeles, surrounded by beaches, celebrity, fashion, and entertainment. Notre Dame is a Catholic university anchored in a small Midwestern town, where the program itself defines the identity of the place. One represents sunshine and spectacle, the other tradition and reverence. Even their football identities reflect those contrasts. USC has long been associated with explosive offenses, speed, flash, and flair. Notre Dame has built its brand on physicality, line of scrimmage dominance, and defense. Styles make fights, and few matchups in the sport embody that truth more clearly than this one. Unlike rivalries where fan bases share geography, culture, or daily interaction, Notre Dame and USC exist worlds apart. That distance only amplifies the edge. There is no familiarity to soften the blow, no shared identity to dull the hostility. It is pure opposition, rooted in difference. That contrast is part of what makes the game so compelling. It is not just about who wins, but which philosophy, which identity, which vision of football prevails.
The timing of this pause only heightens the discomfort. College football is standing at crossroads, reshaped by NIL, the transfer portal, conference realignment, and an expanded playoff. The sport looks almost unrecognizable compared to what it was a decade ago, let alone a century ago when Notre Dame and USC first agreed to meet annually. Change has become constant, and with it has come a sense of instability. Rosters turn over at unprecedented rates, conferences stretch across the country, the calendar itself feels fluid. In moments like this, traditions matter more, not less. Notre Dame versus USC represents stability in a sport that desperately needs it. It is a reminder of what college football was built on and what it risks losing as it races forward. Resistance to change is often framed as nostalgia or fear, but sometimes it's an act of preservation. Some things should endure precisely because everything else is changing. This rivalry fits that category perfectly. It anchors the sport to its past while still producing relevance in the present. This is not to say one side is blameless. USC's demands were unusual, and Notre Dame, as an independent, likely could have shown more flexibility in scheduling. In an era where conference affiliation dictates so much, Notre Dame's independence is its greatest strength and a complication. Still, these are solvable problems. Athletic directors, university presidents, and coaches have navigated far more complex challenges in recent years. If there is genuine will on both sides, there is a path forward. What cannot be replaced is what is lost when this game disappears, even temporarily. The sport loses a measuring stick, a touchstone, a moment that transcends rankings and formats. College football does not need fewer of those moments, it needs more. It needs games that remind everyone why this sport matters beyond contracts and committees. Notre Dame versus USC is not just important to Irish fans or Trojan fans, it belongs to college football itself. It is part of the sport's shared memory, a living artifact that connects eras and generations. Its absence leaves a void that no neutral site kickoff or playoff expansion can fill. For the good of the game, for the preservation of what makes college football unlike anything else in American sports, this rivalry must return, not someday in theory, but in practice, on the field, where it has always belonged.